we were interested entirely. But looking beyond just Japan, there's all these young artists coming up who are inspired by the anime style, who have great stories to tell. And as technology becomes more available so that they can tell these stories, they can step outside of the big Hollywood studio system to tell these things. And ADV is going to increasingly be more involved in nurturing that kind of talent, putting new projects together using these original ideas, to take a studio in Japan or in Europe or someplace and pair them with a creator with a great idea, and have people all over the world on the internet contributing to a single project. It's something that's eminently doable, and we're in a unique position to do it because unlike the big Hollywood studios, we don't have a vested interest in the Hollywood system. We're not built around the idea that you have to make a movie for $100 million and spend $50 million advertising it and put it in 1,000 theaters at least to consider it a real release. We've found an entirely different way to release, and I think that the one thing that we've done, is why we've been so successful, not just with anime, but with releasing TV series like Farscape and Andromeda, Reboot, Mutant X, and all these sort of things, is the fact that we do have an entirely different approach, and I think that we're really kind of the vanguards of the next generation of media companies, and that's what I really see us doing, just more original content.
How big is, oh sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, how big is the database of actors for ADV? How many?
I have no idea anymore.
Or is it massive? So big.
There's hundreds of them. There's a small core that works constantly because they're fortunate to have the voices that fit most anime. And I always, when people come into audition, I always feel really bad when these older women come in because they may be fantastic actors, but they have a voice that sounds like an older woman. And you know, older women don't exist in anime. They just don't. There may be the one bitchy bad woman and the old granny, but the fact is that in most anime, once you're over 18, you don't exist anymore. How many animes do you see the dad but you never see the mom? That's one of the reasons I was so fascinated with Princess Nine, because the moms were not only in it, they were main characters. They were driving forces of the story. That's why Miyazaki's stuff resonates, is because he does understand the importance of the female character. But so we have certain actors who just come in and they've got that wonderful voice that sounds, hey, I can play a 16-year-old male. And they're going to work a lot because that's what the leads always are, is 16-year-old males, 15-year-old females. So, but there's a lot of people, and there's a lot of people I'd like to use more. But
what would you say to inspiring voice actors, or let's say who are going to be auditioning for ADV here?
The best thing I can tell to actors is to act. Don't wait for a chance to be in an ADV voiceover dub. Get out there and act every chance you get. If it's community theater or going to college and taking a theater program, just get out there and get experience, get to know people. The most important thing about being able to audition for a show is you come in, you don't know what you're going to audition for, and you have to immediately be able to drop into a kind of character. That's what we look for, someone who can immediately understand just from looking at a piece of film, this is what's going on. And the more practice you have, the more you've got in your internal database of characteristics to drop into, and more ability to analyze quickly. So the best thing to do, get out there and act. The second thing, move to where the work is being done. Those are the two big things.
And in terms of voice acting, who was your favorite character to voice act? Because I know you've done some voice acting yourself. Or favorite role, because I know you've done monsters.
I like doing monsters. I like doing it for two reasons. One, I don't ask actors to do that kind of stuff unless they specifically ask to, because it's voracious on the voice. But as a kid, I loved monster movies, you know. And so it's like, wow, I get to do the voice of these monsters, and you know, I'll sit there and with a tank of water being poured in my mouth to get a gurgly effect, or you know, just completely strip out my vocal cords doing a screaming sound, which is what the Ava stuff does, because that's supposed to be a human-esque sound at its base, and you can't do that electronically without a human at the base of it.
And in terms of characters, what?
Characters, I would say probably the most was actually in Battle Angel was Grishka, the big cannibalistic wrestler turned psycho killer. He was a fascinating character. You know, just to play something that big and mean and evil was just. Villains are always for me more interesting than heroes. You know, heroes have to be nice. Villains don't have to. Villains are much more motivated by the id, and therefore will do radically bizarre things.
Have you ever seen a hero that's a little more on the less archetype side?
Well, sure. There's always the anti-hero. There's always shows. We've done a lot of shows. I mean, probably the most extreme. We did a show called Japanese title is Shibas 123. We called it Sorcerer on the Rocks to tie it into Sorcerer Hunters because it's set in the same universe. And the hero, the quote hero, is about the most despicable person you could possibly mention. But even there, he's got a few redeeming qualities, which is what makes him the hero. There's always got to be that dividing line.